Hey, what is up, spiritual hooligan? You want to create momentum? I got 9 steps for you right now that are going to get you back into momentum. And today is a continuation of yesterday's conversation, which was the down cycle. And on the other side of the down cycle is the up cycle. The question is, how do you shorten the distance? How do you go from down cycle to up cycle faster? And the way you do that is through creating some quantum leaps. There's both some mental, emotional, spiritual stuff and some structural stuff that we got to do in the world to get the momentum moving in the direction that you want to go. My name is Matthew Ferry, and I am bringing you your daily enlightenment. It's your moment to pause, to slow down, to get connected to enlightened perspectives. I want to help you to quiet your mind and restore your peace. So how do we get the momentum going? How do we get you to a place where you are moving forward? Well, one of the things that we want to start to think about is a quantum leap. If you want to make a quantum leap where you just go kaboom, you jump into a new spot, right? Maybe in your relationship, maybe in your business, maybe in your projects that you're focusing on. The game for you is to reinvent how people are seeing you, what you're known for, what people's expectations are. It turns out you can only do what people expect you to do. And that's not 100% true, but you want to think about it in this way, that as you come up with this new way that you want to be in the world, and you present that new way into your old world resists because they want things to stay the same. So there's a certain process that you have to go through to begin to change everyone's expectations, shift what's going on, and move things in the direction that you want to go. So based on that, here's what I want you to think about. What are the expectations that you need to create in the world to have your dreams, your desires get into momentum again? What are the expectations that you need to create in the world? Will you pause this right now and just take a moment and think about it? Here's something that I've said in the past. For example, when you study with Matthew Ferry, you will achieve enlightened states. Your mind will go quiet, and that will lead to you having an exponentially better life at work and with family and in your relationships, and just overall live an epic life. Those are the expectations that I decided back in 2016. I decided I want to shift the way that people are thinking about me. And I want to shift people from thinking about me as just the mindset guy, the happiness and success guy, and move into these more spiritual domains, the domain of enlightenment. So let's back up. How do you start to do that? Well, let's begin with this idea of accountability. And this is a little segment from a quote from a man named Werner Erhard, and he's the guy who started EST back in the day, and that transformed into the modern day version of it is landmark education. And he's got this really great idea about accountability, and I want to just brief it with you. Accountability is the opportunity to live at choice rather than accidentally. And this is important because if you want to engineer your momentum and your quantum leap, you've got to create some kind of accountability. And accountability is the opportunity to live the way you want to live at choice rather than live at the effect of the environment, or let's call it previous decisions. And even though those decisions may not be conscious, many of them were, the life that you're living right now is holding you accountable to the state that you're in. He said that accountability is the opportunity to carve out the future rather than sit back and have it happen to you. And I think that that's really, really valuable. When you put accountability into play, what you're doing is you're carving out what you want your life to be. Kristen right now, for example, is really grappling with, how do I get painting back into my life? And what she's working on are creating those accountability structures so that painting goes back into her life. Anything that you want to have in your life is going to take a structure. If you want to get the momentum moving in a particular direction, it's going to take structure. So here's what he said lastly, which is, without accountability, without committed speaking, so that's speaking about what you're committed to, without promises and declarations, there is no transformation. There is at best peak feelings. In other words, if you aren't speaking about what you're committed to, what'll happen is you're going to come to this place where you're like, I'm so excited and I want to do it, right? And you get that energy, but that energy doesn't lead anywhere. It dissipates fast. The solution is to actually begin to create some accountability. So here are 9 steps that create the loop that starts the momentum. And that's really what we want. We want to create that flywheel where that momentum starts. And again, we're recontextualizing the idea of creating momentum. We're recontextualizing the down cycle into the up cycle. So number 1 is to make new promises and declarations. If you want to create more momentum in your life, or if you want to activate the momentum, you need to make some promises and declarations. Number 2, you've got to work on creating structure. Structure could be system, procedure, it's process, it's workflow. And in general, with structure, what I find is it's about other people, and it's about rearranging the environment so that the thing that you want happens on a regular basis. Number 3, you got to create accountability. So you have to make promises and declarations, and then you have to have someone that you've promised to. And you have some way in which you are, number 4, monitoring what you're doing. So you make these promises and declarations. Let's just take the daily enlightenment. The objective of the daily enlightenment for me was twofold. 1, I wanted to unabashedly just get all the stuff that I have been working on over the last 20 years that is in the domain of the enlightened framework. I wanted to get it out into the world, and I wanted to do it in a way that was generous and unabashed and just like, this is what I've been working on. So there's that intention. The second intention was to do it for 1 year, to do 365 days in a row, daily enlightenment. And what I did was I began to create structure around that, carve out time in my day. I began to make promises to people around me that that's what I was doing. I made promises to you, the viewer, and we're interacting in the comments. This began to create, by making it public, it began to create pressure. So you make promises and declarations, you create structure, you create accountability, and then you monitor. Then number 5 is you elicit feedback. How's it going? What are you seeing? You go into your environment and you find out, what can I be doing better? What are you seeing? Is this working? You elicit feedback. And number 6 is you commit to extreme authenticity. This is really important because there are going to be times in which the whole thing is falling apart and nothing feels like it's going your way and everything sucks and it's real bleh, right? There's going to be times of great resistance, and what there is to do is just to fess up that you're in resistance, to be honest that things aren't going the way that you want, that you thought that the path would be A, B, C, D, E, and the path is R, L, G, F, B, R, N, you know what I mean? It's like all over the place. And then number 7 is to clean up any messes around your broken promises. Because let's just be honest, as you make new promises and declarations, the world that you live in is not necessarily set up or designed for those promises or declarations to be fulfilled. So you create the structure to fulfill on what you want, but you are inventing out of thin air. You don't know what it's going to take to accomplish the goals you've set or to create this new momentum. You don't know. So you create the structure, you create accountability, you create KPIs, you're getting feedback from people, and then you have to use extreme authenticity because there's just times when it's all falling apart, it's not working. And so what do? You start to clean up those messes, the broken promises. You own up to stuff. You own up to, I said I would do it and I didn't do it. You apologize for broken expectations. You apologize for not following through. You just be honest. You admit fault. You fall on your sword. These are so important. When you do that, you open up the listening of the other person. They start to go like, all right, cool. I see you taking responsibility for your shit. Now what? Then you can do number 8, which is you recommit. But maybe recommitting isn't the right thing to do. Maybe what there is to do is to cancel. Maybe you get into it and you say to yourself, this isn't really what I thought it would be. And I don't need to continue it just because I gave my word to it. I had a particular outcome in mind. I want to move the ball down the court in this particular area and create some momentum, and it's not really happening. Maybe you renegotiate. But in general, what you do is you create some new promises and some new declarations. And then that literally, number 9, puts you right back up at the top again. So you make new promises and declarations. You create structure, accountability. You create monitoring. You elicit feedback. You use extreme authenticity. You're going to go into breakdown. Then you clean up all the broken promises. You apologize. You own up to things. You be honest. You admit fault. You fall on your sword. And then you recommit, cancel, renegotiate, and go right back up to the top again of making new promises and new declarations. That loop right there, if you'll follow those steps over and over and over, you'll navigate through the natural challenges that occur when you are taking on something new. So I want to know what spoke to you today. Will you put a comment in here on what spoke to you? I want to hear what you're thinking. Is this hitting you in the right way? Are you getting what I'm talking about here? Also, like this, will you please? Like this Daily Enlightenment and share it with people you think it would make a difference for. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Daily Enlightenment.